In Sweden we have this Christmas beer drink called JulMumma, but it's actually based on an old super famous beer style called Braunschweiger Mumme. I never heard of that. So today we're gonna learn about the Braunschweiger Mumme, and we'll try to mix up one of these beer drinks to mimic the Braunschweiger Mumme and also trace the commercial Mumma. Nice, let's just kick it. The Swedish JulMumma could be this. It's a commercial one, and these are like spiced up ones. But this comes from the fact that the Swedes couldn't get a hold of the Braunschweiger Mumme anymore. The Braunschweiger Mumme has its heritage in the medieval times, and it was made to ship. It was a beer that was made to last, that could be transported, because back in the old days beer got bad really fast. Beer soured really fast, and they suffered from that. So this beer was brewed strong in alcohol, dark, and could be spiced with like gruit, pine needles. It was actually 4 varieties of Braunschweiger Mumme. It was a normal Mumme, normal strength Mumme, but not with like spices, and there were this double Mumme that we'll try to replicate today. It was very strong, and it was a stable beer on like every vessel, and it could last even in hot tropical temperatures. There were also like small beer, more table beer, and there were one with cherries in them. And later on they got all different spices in the Mumme. Now there's actually still one brewery that brews this. The Braunschweiger Mumme is from the northern German city Braunschweig, and there are still one brewery that makes this. It also produces this non-alcoholic version, which is for like food, drinks, but there is still the Braunschweiger Mumme, still brewed in Braunschweig. They even have a Braunschweiger Mumme festival 3 days in November, if I'm correct. So I will definitely check that out. I've been to Cologne, trying all the Kölsch I could find. So going to Braunschweig on the Braunschweiger Mumme festival has a name that I don't think I can pronounce, but I will put it here in German. So let's get brewing, or let's get mixing. I found a recipe that is from the Prohibition time. We had that in Sweden also. It's to mimic the Braunschweiger Mumme, because the Swedes couldn't get it anymore. Brewers got better and better at brewing beers, and of course hops was introduced, and they've been able to have a longer shelf lives on beer. Beer weren't getting sour as fast anymore. The demand for the Braunschweiger Mumme really dipped. In the 1800s it was almost gone. I think around 1950. Don't quote me on that. I will link to some information if you want to read more, but there's something in that. There were like 2 breweries, and now there's only 1 brewery left in Braunschweig brewing the Braunschweiger Mumme, and we can't get a hold on it here. I actually never heard of it until I started like nerding down a little bit on the JulMumma. There are a lot of Swedish recipes for this with a lot of spices, and they often using soda, but today we will be making the grown-up version of this. The old grown-up version, sorry, but we'll make a little bit stronger version without soda. And the recipe called for some spirits, because that's what people were trying to do to mimic these stronger beers. They were mixing wine, they were mixing beers, and they were mixing like different spirits, but they all seems to call for Madeira. Some also calls for vodka, and as I said, some have soda in it. They all have beers in it. The recipe I found had actually these 2 beers, a Pilsner and a Carnegie Porter. This sounds wrong to me, because both of these are lagers. Yes, the porter. This is a Baltic porter, meaning it's brewed with lager yeast. But the idea is, maybe it's not that important, but I found some other beers, so I'm going to use them instead, because I can never do as I'm told. There weren't any lagers, so we should brew an ale. Don't go for something hoppy. There were no hops, right? So as low hops as possible. So these are good suggestions. At least this one. This ain't really hoppy. So yeah, these are good suggestions. But I think I found some other varieties that are ales. So instead, I will go for the Fuller's London Porter. That's not the exact amount though, so maybe I shouldn't. I'm so stupid. Okay, I will go for the Carnegie Porter. I will try this first to see if it feels hoppy. I can't remember, and it has ale yeast, noble hops. This is a Swedish beer. So try to find a really low hop beer. It shouldn't be about hops at all. And no modern porter, no modern style hops. That sounds wrong to me. We need something to mix it, and I'm thinking this is vodka. I did invest in all of these to be able to do this video for you. Maybe you could drop a like. A like also saves a unicorn, so you're doing something good. But maybe you shouldn't subscribe to my channel, because there are a lot of better channels about beer and homebrewing than mine. I'm thinking though that I could use this one instead. I don't think it will hurt anything. This is from the Beerer video, and I will link to that one below. You can go and check that out, because this is just a waste of money, and I can give this to someone for Christmas, like my father. But we need something to mix this in. Okay, someone's got an early Christmas present. No, I'm just faking it, of course. I had to pay for this one also, because I didn't have something really cool to mix it in. If you do want even more bad content, I do have Patreon and channel memberships. You can go and check that out. Link in the description. Or just buy me a beer. All links down below. Even that we are not using a hot plate today, this is still dangerous stuff. You can really hurt yourself. This is a knife. It's sharp. So you can still ask your mom to help you with this part. Safety first. Madeira. Whoop. Whoopa. 1 deciliter. And yes, I will give you the exact amount also in birds and stones. If you don't want super strong, you could leave this out, or you can even double it if you want a little bit more boozy. I'm just gonna use a 1/2 deciliter vodka. This is the Visby Kloster, but the recipe said for a German Pilsner, but doesn't sound right to me. This is not a good opener. I did chill this down, but not as much as I might have needed. I will try to pour this gently so it don't foam too much right now. Didn't I say that I was gonna taste this first? Pretend that I did. This is gonna be a lot. I'm not gonna finish this. Pour this slowly. The problem is, of course, that I never had a Braunschweiger Mumme. So I'm just taking someone's word for it. In Sweden, we have this famous, quite a character, Edvard Blom, and really likes this recipe, but I think he doubled the vodka. But this was the original recipe with that amount of vodka. So we'll try to give this a small mix. And maybe this is thumbnail opportunity. But I do guess that this one would have been like more smokier, because all beer were kind of smoky, or a lot of smoky, because of the way that they dried the malt. Okay, homemade grown-up chest hair version of JulMumma or Braunschweiger Mumme. Let's go. That was epic pour. Okay, here goes the sniff. Smells like a porter to me. Cheers. You think this would be boozy, but it's not at all. You can't feel the booze. It is kind of Christmassy though. Might be in the Madeira and the porter combined. Should we try the Swedish commercial Mumma and compare it to? It is a little bit warming, but I don't feel any alcohol. Traditional Swedish Mumma, let's go. This would be like a normal Mumma then, 5.2%. Here we have a lot of spices. I don't think this is the real deal. This is something that have grown to this like JulMumma, and in this we have cardamom, and I think just because it called a mumma, the people started to add the cardamom to it. In Sweden cardamom is called kardemumma. The word mumme has nothing to do with cardamom. The word, some sort of rumor that I think the name was Christian Mumme invented this, but after reading some more I don't think that's the truth either, so I don't really know what the word mumme comes from. And bonus info, the mumme was often served with smoked ham or sausages from Braunschweig. So Braunschweig really was put on the map by the mumme. This is clearer, has a reddish hint amber, this is murky and brown, and this just smells like a cardamom bun. Sorry, yeah. After reading about this, I do think it would have been a little bit sweeter than this actually. Because this is not sweet at all. So maybe add some sugars to it, some syrup or something. Which do I prefer? This is too sweet for me and I'm not a fan of cardamom. This you should really try out to make or to brew if you can find a good recipe for it. Or just go to Braunschweig and try the real Braunschweig Mumme there with some smoked ham, some smoked sausages. Something else you should try is the butter beer, which is not something that J.K. Rowling came up with, or YouTube think this video will fit you very well, or try to push any of these two buttons here to see what happens. Cheers! Mumme.